This video is about the mechanics of parameters. In particular, we're going to learn how to solve a type of problem called a parameter mystery problem. Here's an example of a parameter mystery problem. The names of the variables and methods in this program are intentionally short and meaningless to make it more difficult to derive meaning just from looking at the code. We actually have to trace the code to figure out what's going on here. So our task is to figure out what is the output produced by this program. In order to figure that out, we're going to have to do a lot of understanding of parameters because the method calls that are being made in this program pass a large number of parameters. So let's take a look at what's going on in this code. Initially here in the main method, we declare three variables, x, y, and z. So I'm going to draw a couple of boxes to illustrate the values stored in each of those parameters. So x and y and z store the values of 9 and the string x and 2 respectively. So now we have a call on this method here named mystery, and we pass x and y and z as the parameter values. Now down here in the mystery method, there are three parameters declared in the heading of that method, and what I want you to notice is that their names are the same as the variables up here in main, x, y, and z. Now that's done intentionally to confuse you a little bit, to confuse the novice programmer, because the relationship between those parameter names and the local variable names up in main is they're really completely distinct from each other. They're independent from each other. The fact that we gave them the same names doesn't really matter. What really matters is the order when parameters are being passed. So when you write that you want to call the mystery method and pass x, y, and z, what you're saying is I want the first parameter to the method to get its value from x. I want the second parameter to get its value from y, and the third one from z. So the way to think about it is that x goes to the first parameter, y goes to the second parameter, z goes to the third parameter. And so actually, if we're going to try to understand the output from this first call, this first particular call right here, we have to go ahead and rethink which variable name corresponds to which value. Inside this method here, we actually have three new boxes, and the x value from main here, which is the number 9, gets passed and stored into the first parameter, which is also named x. The string local variable y in main is passed as the second parameter to mystery, and so that's actually stored as the parameter value z. The string y up there has the value x inside of it. And this third parameter, int y, it gets its value from z from the main method, and so z has the value of 2. So now when we're interpreting the output from this first method call here, we have to use x of 9 and z of the string x and y of 2 to figure out that output. So as we walk through the code here, each line we say x plus plus, that makes x become 10. We do y minus minus, that makes y become 1. And now we print z space y space x. And so z is this one. So that is the string x plus a space plus y is this third one, which has the value 1 plus a space plus x has this value 10. So that's the output from this first call is x space 1 space 10. And now, once that call is done, we go back to the main method here. And one thing that's really important to remember is that these parameter values here, despite the fact that their names are the same, they're really independent of what's going on in main. And so actually, even though we changed x and y here in mystery, that doesn't mean anything will be changed here in main. These three local variables up here are unchanged. So this println after the call that prints x space y space z, that call is going to print x, which has the unmodified value of 9 plus a space plus y, which is the string that has a value of x, and then another space, and z, which is the integer value 2. So it's important to understand that even though there's an x down here in this mystery method and there's an x up here in the main method, they're really not connected to each other at all. So that's the output from those first two lines of our program. I'm going to go ahead and write these down in a notepad so that I can remember them. We had x110 from the first call to mystery, and then after that we had 9x2 from main. Now let's figure out the output from the second call to mystery. We pass z, y, x. I'm going to go ahead and erase some of my markings here so I can write some new ones. So we're passing z, y, x. Now again, the order is the important thing, not the naming. And so z goes to this box, y goes to this box, and x goes to this box. So z is the integer with the value 2. Y, now we have to be careful because this y is in quotation marks. So you might have been tempted to look up the variable y's value and put that into this box, but this is a y in quotation marks. That's a literal string, a string value. And so the string y is passed here, not the variable y. The third parameter that's passed is x, which is the integer value 9. So now we run this code with these three values as our parameters. So we do x plus plus, the 2 becomes 3. We do y minus minus, the 9 becomes 8. And now we print z, y, x. And again, we use these names here to decide which variables those are. Z is the string y, a space. Y is the integer 8, space. X is the integer 3. So y 8, 3 is the third line of output there. So I'll write that into my notepad buffer. And now we have one more call to the mystery method to figure out. And that call passes some more complicated expressions as the values of the parameters. It passes x plus 3, y plus z, x plus z. So remember again, this one goes here, this one goes here, and this one goes here. X plus 3, that's this variable up here, 9 plus 3, so 12 goes there. Y plus z is this string y, which has, x, and we're adding z, which has the value 2. The string x plus 2 is a string concatenation operation, so we're actually going to have the string x2 because it concatenates that 2 onto the end of that string there. That's kind of tricky. And the third parameter is x plus z. That's the integer 9 plus integer 2, so we get 11 for that parameter. And the output from this call is, well, we first do x plus plus, so we get 13 here. We do y minus minus, we get 10 here. And now we print ln z, y, x. Z is x2 space, y is 10 and space, and x is 13. So the last line of output here should be x2, 10, 13. So that's the output that we should get from this program. These are the 4 lines of output that are produced. If you want to run it to verify that, we can go to our editor here and actually make sure that this code runs the way we expected it to. This is the program that we were looking at, and I'm going to go ahead and compile the program and run it real quick to see what the output is. And we can compare it to our notepad output here, and we've got the right output. To walk through it a little bit more mechanically to see what's going on, I could use our debugger to watch one of the calls in progress. So I've put a debugging breakpoint at the start of the program, and I'll run it one more time in the debugging mode. Now the program pauses, and if you watch me as the declarations are made, here are these 3 local values, 9, x, and 2. And those correspond to the 9, x, and 2 that we saw up here in our diagram that we were drawing. And now if you watch the first method call where it says mystery of xyz, that call is going to jump into the code down below. And you'll watch that these 3 variables are going to disappear, and they're going to be replaced by the 3 parameters, x, z, y. So let's jump in there. We go from 9x2 to now x is the 9 and z is the string and y is the 2. So you see the order is the important thing. these three become these three in the same order. So we do x plus plus, it becomes 10. We do y minus minus, it becomes 1. We print zyx, zyx, so we get x1, 10 as our output there. Now we return back to main. And you'll notice that back in main, our three variables are back the way they started, unaffected by this call here. I do this println statement, and you'll see this line of output up here. Now let's do one more call. Let's step through one more call in the debugger. This call has zyx. So again, that's z, the string y, and then x, which is 9. So it should be 2y9 as the values passed. And so there we see 2y9 enters the method. X plus plus makes this into 3. Y minus minus reduces this to 8. And then our println statement produces y83.